Okay. I think we're in frame there. I promise tonight I'm gonna try to order the new pad because Domosaurus here is getting a little vexing to me. But I mean, this pad lasted us what, a year and a half for the abuse that we've put it through? Not bad. I'm happy with that. Alright, so it's Sunday, it's art day. We are a little high there. There we go. I messed with the camera positioning the other night when we were painting. And haven't been able to get it back into a happy spot yet. Which is why I was leery of messing with it to begin with, but we did, so there's that. Alright, so this is what we're looking at. We're following Bob Ross tutorial, painting tutorials from The Joy of Painting. We've been following season 3 for a while now. It takes me a little bit to get through these because we only do them for a couple of hours. A couple days a week now. We started out doing it only 1 day a week. Now we're doing it 2. But I don't have as much time to work on them per stream as I used to. So, I mean, if I could go to sleep earlier in the morning and wake up at a decent time, then we would, but that's neither here nor there. So we're up to episode 7 of season 3, and we're a few sessions in on this. This is our 11th session we're going to be starting, and not looking too bad. And we're going to see what is in store for us today. There's approximately 6 minutes left in this tutorial. We won't be finishing this today, I can guarantee you. But let's go ahead and hit play. Now, I do have the video muted. Subtitles are on, but if you want to go watch this in full without interruption and actually get to listen to it, the link is in the chat. So how come the flamingos didn't go off when you resubbed?
I have no idea.
Unless there was something in the channel that you told it not to do in the chat.
I mean, I didn't knowingly do so.
Stream Elements looks like it's working. Okay, so we are putting our land in, which is what this section's all been reserved out for. Helps me from overusing my supplies when I sketch the stuff in, and from trying to fight through thicker sections. Hi, Momo. What's up, my bud? Really? You know I don't have food when we do this, right? You know Mommy doesn't have anything to eat. Do you have to pee-pee?
I just took you out, dude.
Oh my goodness. Does you need to go pee-pee? Look at that happy butt. Is it ritual that you must go when Mommy starts? Is it habit? Yeah. Alright, you gotta back up so I can get up. You want me to get him? Alright. So, yeah, we're gonna be putting land in. Alright, so this is gonna take a little bit. I hope I have enough brown. I'm not confident I do. We might have to fluff some more here. We'll see. We might have enough. We'll see. I'm getting down to the bottom dredges of my brown fluff bag here. haven't had a whole lot of time. Shit. Where'd it go? Dropped it. There it is. I was worried it hit the floor. I was like, no, if it hits the floor, it's dead to us. It's dead to us. Just because it's so dust bunny down there. That's all. How do we want to do this now? Okay. I have broken more needles catching them on my microphone. I swear. Hopefully this doesn't snap on us. I don't know how bad it caught. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, no, I hope to get the new mat ordered tonight. I didn't have the time to peruse Amazon last night or the brain power. I was trying to remain focused on video editing last night because I am really behind. And I was trying to get that done because I have another project I'm trying to get started, and that one is going to end up taking a bit more precedence soon. I mean, I have some time, but
Hold on, come here.
see what happens with that. But I'm gonna have to get some supplies for that. I think, at least, I think I'm gonna have to get some supplies for it. So I lost my crisp corner here, so I'm just trying to slide everybody over. Sometimes you can move the fluff a little bit by changing the angle that you're fluffing at. Stabbing at. Sometimes it's successful, other times take a bit more patience. Okay. I'm hoping that we can at least get this brown section filled in today. I don't know for sure. I might be a little over optimistic there. Again, we'll see. I feel like we're a little zoomed out, but I also don't want to zoom too far in. Because when we were painting, we felt like we were zoomed too far out, and I did zoom in, and now the zoom is going to be off a bit on the camera. But yeah, I need to start getting some painting inventory together, so I'm going to be a little bit busier trying to get that last art video, needle felted speed felt, done. I got kind of waylaid with my arm getting a bit jacked up, but decided we're gonna try to, well, the plan right now is, and I don't know if it's actually gonna happen, but we're gonna try to look into the local farmers market next year. But Russell was gonna try to do some recon for me, since he's usually up when the farmers market's happening, to talk to the people there about what all you have to do, because I get overwhelmed with the bureaucratic red tape side of things, and I don't know if you have to give a cut to the city, like how's the sale tax thing work, you know, that kind of stuff. Talk to these people that have been doing it longer, that know what the hell they're doing. And just see what we can find out. See if we think it's feasible. But I don't have that much inventory at the moment on hand to take to the farmer's market. I have some Bob Ross magnets that haven't sold, and before I had to shut down the Etsy shop because I didn't like where things were going with Etsy's third-party bank verifying company. They were a little sketchy. I didn't want to give them the information they wanted. I'm surprised more people weren't upset about it, because you have to like re-verify your account like every month, and Russell looked into that company and they don't exactly have the best business practices, the third-party company that was verifying the bank accounts. So we have way too many bank accounts tied to one another. To make life easier for what we have to do and handle outside of this stuff, and so it's like, yeah, and I'm not going to a brand new bank and opening up an account just for this and dealing with their bullshit. So we just closed the Etsy shop. I might go back to eBay. Haven't decided yet. I am currently on Kofi, but I don't think people really know Kofi has a shop option. And I only have 3 things up there right now, so Kofi's a little more involved. Excuse me, on my end. But Etsy was just getting to be a lot of stress, and I was losing money on Etsy. Let's be real. All of the posting fees, I was constantly losing money, because you know I'm a small shop and I don't sell that fast, so to constantly be reposting stuff, yeah, 20 cents to post something doesn't sound like a big deal, but when it's like the 5th time you've reposted it and you've reposted like 30 things, it starts to add up. So it was more than just the third-party issue there. I've actually been trying to do some reference photo searching last night before I went to bed. Which ended up turning into a rabbit hole of, I'm tired. I'll pick this up tomorrow. Let me check the stats on my channel real quick on the last video that went live, and then I noticed that there was a lot of people watching the one earthquake live cam, earthquake monitors that I tend to pop into from time to time, and I was like, why is there 30 some people in this chat at like 3 a.m.? What is going on? So I popped in, and there was like a 7.2 earthquake apparently in the peninsula of Alaska, and I was like, oh shit. So I was kind of hanging in there for a couple extra minutes before I went to bed, and then I kind of got extra distracted, checking on something else or wasting time to see if anything else was going to happen. And next thing I know, it's like 3:30, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. I am tired. We need to go to bed. I have no idea what time I actually fell asleep. I know Zuzu had come in, which surprised me. Because he doesn't always. He's usually with my mom most nights. Sometimes he comes in, but he never really stays long. But he full on came in, so either she got up because she couldn't sleep, or one of the cats kept stepping on him. Either is entirely possible. Alright. So we are just working on getting our last bit of land put in here, and I think he's gonna throw some more like shrubs and stuff on this. That's how I think it's gonna go. So I am overlapping this bit of dirt here on top of our water edge, just so we don't have like any weird indents on seams and stuff. So it is Sunday here for me, so how did everybody's weekend go? I mean, I know it's not over yet, but how was your Saturday? Did you do anything fun and exciting? And it could be anything that you find fun and exciting. Fun and exciting for me was not having to go to work and hiding from the world. But I also hated it because I had to run errands if I did need anything, so I actually kind of preferred being off in the middle of the week as opposed to being off on the weekend. I didn't have the luxury of being off on the weekend very often. I did when I was merchandising, but when I had switched stores and then came back, I couldn't have my merchandising position back, so they had to put me on front end, and I was a front end supervisor. Then I was off during the week, and I'm like, you know what? I like these days off during the week a little bit better, but I absolutely loathe working the weekend. There was a no-win situation for me. For what I was doing and where I was working, because it was so busy on the weekend. You just couldn't even look up to take a fucking breath half the time. And I think I would have liked my days off better during the week if they had been together at that particular location. That particular job, I had split days off during the week, so it never really felt like I had a full day off. I felt like I really only had one day off, I'll put it that way, because first day off I was trying to run errands and get all my running around done, which would take like half the day, if not the entire day. Now, when I worked for the casino, I was off during the week, and those days were back to back, so that was good, but I worked grave shift, so like one of my days off was already partway eaten because I was just getting off of work, it felt like. So that was another situation where I felt like I only had one real day off a week, because I was like, okay, let me rush to get home, let me get changed, and then we had to run to the laundromat, or I think our washer wasn't working for a long time, and then we were like bringing the wet clothes home to dry them, or was it the dryer that wasn't working? No, I remember the washer break. I think there was an instance where both things weren't working, but not at the same time. It was a pain. But, and then we had to go grocery shopping, and then, like, by the time we got home, we would order something to shove in our face from down the street at the pizza place that we loved. We'd either get a pizza or something else. They had great burgers and stuff. And then we would pass the fuck out around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, because we had been up since like 8 or 9 the night before. Because when you're on grave shift and you're in an area where most of the things you need to do are only open during normal business hours, it's just go, 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 go. Which was funny because there was so many shift workers in the area. Like, most of the time you would see people coming into the grocery store in their casino uniforms, whether they were on their way to work and just grabbing a couple of things that could survive in the car, or they were on their way home. It's a pretty common sight. I'm like, why aren't there more places around that are open all night? To make this easier. definitely enjoyed days off during the week a little bit better because stuff wasn't as chaotic. It was a little bit better when we went to Ocean City in the summer too. I mean, you'd have the summer tourist traffic, but in the afternoon, during the week, the boardwalk wasn't as obnoxious as if we had gone at like 7 o'clock in the evening. So what kind of art are you guys all into? What's your favorite medium to watch or actively participate in? Do you like watercolor, latch hook, knitting, crochet? Rubber stamping, card making. T-shirt art, screen printing. Building dollhouses. Diamond art. What floats your boat? Cross stitch, needlepoint. I'm just trying to relay down the fluff on the back, flatten it out a bit. Sometimes I find it helps that the front will lay down a bit flatter and I don't get as many weird ridges and valleys and stuff. I am using acrylic yarn. Traditionally people use roving or wool. I have, a little bit of roving, but not in the amounts that I need. And I can't reorder specific colors, so it just became easier for me to do it this way. I mean, I'm sure in other brands I could, but those are out of my budget. The acrylic yarn was a bit more in my budget. If you go the acrylic yarn route, it does involve a little bit more prep, but not too much. A little bit. Got a little bit of a thin spot there where our blue from underneath was poking through. I just wanted to put a little bit of a patchy guy on that. I think we're putting grass or something over top of this, or maybe more sand. So I'm not gonna fret too hard about too many thin spots, but that one was a little bit in my face, so. And I tend to overlap the edges of each bit of fluff when I drop it down onto here, just so I don't get any like weird seams and stuff happening between the two. Now, diamond painting is one thing I haven't tried. I don't really have a large flat surface that I can work on it. And the klutz that I am, I would probably spill all those little I want to call them rhinestones, but they're not exactly rhinestones. Maybe opaque rhinestones. The little guys that go in that you glue on there. So, I know me. That would just be a disaster. That, or I'd get like all of the fluff and animal fuzz in the sticky stuff, and then nothing would stick, and then I would just be mad. So it's like, nah, that's okay. So I've got enough stuff going on. Are we doing game night tonight, or are you canceling?
Probably not.
Okay. At least our new freezer works. I said at least our new freezer works. Still need to move that. I might try to do that later since I know you're not feeling the greatest today. Alright, I'm just taking some of our fluff and I'm making a fluff snake. I realize that a lot of times my hands aren't on the screen when I'm doing that. I'm also have it shoved up a little bit higher so we can see what we're doing. It'll be a little bit better once I get this mat replaced and the mat sits flat. I mean, it sort of sits flat, the bottom sits flat, but our surface that we are felting into is like domed up from so much use. So I need to replace this guy. He's screaming uncle. And I just got the funds to replace him. I mean, this guy was like 20 bucks and he lasted us over a year. That's not bad. It's better than the foam. The foam drives me crazy. I can't always stand the sound of the foam. Guess it depends on the foam. But this sounds a little bit gentler. Kind of sounds more like somebody walking through gravel or snow. Okay. It's a lot gentler on the ears. Alright. Sometimes it takes a little bit more stabbing to get some bits actually attached. But yeah, no, I go the acrylic yarn because of my budget. I do have some roving, and occasionally we will use it, but it's not what I primarily use. Because the roving I could afford at the time when I first started doing this was just like a pack of X number of colors, but they come in like these little tiny floss Ziploc bag amounts, and you just order the assortment. So if I'm doing something that involves one color and a lot of that particular color, if I run out, I'm kind of screwed. So, because I can't guarantee that when I reorder more, that color is gonna be there, or it's gonna look the same. Alright, so we've got a bit more. I mean, I have more than 2/3 of the skein of this left. I just don't have. This is just all I have prepped. I have plenty. I definitely have more of it. It's just I only prep so much because I only have so much room to store the prepped yarn. Alright, so we'll get this guy. Worked into here. So we might, it depends a little bit on what Russell finds out from his inquiries at the farmer's market. We might try to sell there next year. Alright. We're actually moving pretty good here. All things considered, I tend to work in smaller chunks just because then it gives my arm a rest. I can take breaks in between. Adding in the new color. We also have a new light that we're working with. It was new last week, I think. No, it was new. No, I think this is our first needle felting on this light. We did the painting session with the new light. I think that's what it was. So let me know if you guys prefer this light over the old one. At least I think this is our first session with this light, as far as needle felting is concerned. The other light was a bit more yellow. But it's what we had that was diffused a bit. I will say my eyes are enjoying this light a little bit more. The angle that I had the other light on was a bit harsher, and it was a bit, I don't know, that particular tone of light my eyes didn't care for. But it's what we had, so it's kind of what I just had to suck up and deal with. But look, the camera's actually picking up the proper color on that upper purple right now, probably because it's half shadowed. That's exciting, after it's been showing gray. I can't adjust the color tones on this camera though, so we just have to take it for what it is. This camera came with no software and has a manual focus, but it's not as fuzzy as the other camera. And cameras are expensive. And this broke bitch couldn't afford any of the other cameras. I could not afford to drop 80 bucks on a camera. 80 plus. I don't even remember what this camera was called. I was using a Logitech, but the Logitech, getting the color balance was such a pain in the ass, but I liked the control interface where I could just hit a button and we could zoom in a little bit smoother. To zoom in this one, I have to play with the size of the screen in OBS, where I have to manually make the square smaller or bigger, which can be a bit of a pain. Somebody's revving their car. Mr. Revy's back. Being as annoying as ever. There's one person, it seems like, that constantly is around here. I don't know if they're at the car wash or what, but they're nearby us. And they are constantly revving their engine for like a half an hour to an hour straight. It gets to be so annoying. Our house is not that soundproof. It's a very old house. It was built in the 1920s. Or at least part of it was. It's definitely seen a few additions over the years. And we live on like the main road through our town, so it gets a little noisy. I've thought about trying to pick up some of the, not really soundproofing squares, but maybe we'll call them sound dampening squares, but I don't think they're gonna do much for that, because we're in a room that doesn't have like a door that fully closes on it. We're also more towards the front of our house, which is like, I don't know, 1, maybe 3 yardsticks, 2.5 yardsticks from the road. We don't have a very big front yard, so it's like the road's right there. And there's only one room that's really in the back of the house, and that's not really an ideal room for us either. It's not our room either. Oh, thank you, Sammy. Welcome, welcome. We've done a few others in this series following this season of The Joy of Painting. Those are archived on the YouTube channel, same name as here. I actually have a couple. Oh, they're not really right behind me. One second. So I've got 2 of this season close at hand. So we've done this guy. I can get him in frame here. And we just took half dowels and attached them to the edges of the felt, cleaned up the edges, and put a little twine on there, jute to hang him. And then this was one of the other ones that we did. where we cleaned up the sides and added our hanging string, and more with the same dowels. The other ones I didn't think to do that to display them, so those are kind of flat and could potentially be framed. Those are kind of buried in my drawer, put away at the moment. But yeah, so we've got this needle felting series. It's all on a playlist on the YouTube channel, and at the end of each project, because the projects take us a few weeks to get through with the amount of time that I have available to work on them on stream, once I get to the end of a piece, I go back and edit all of the live streams together down into one video, and it ends up being usually around 2.5 to 3 hours, but it's the entire project start to finish without, you know, and I've cut out all the times where I've had to get up and walk away for a second to deal with the dogs, or, you know, potty break or whatever was going on. So it's all in one spot. But thank you. It's kind of fun, and then I don't have to worry about my paint drying out as I'm going. We have followed Bob Ross a couple different times with painting. We made some magnets with one season. The oil paint, though, I'm scent sensitive, and the oil paint does have a bit of an odor to it, and it takes forever to dry and or cure, whatever the proper term is for the oil paint. I had to like put it in Tupperware containers with holes drilled in the side of the container for airflow, and they just took for fucking ever. I had to put them in those containers because we have pets and they would knock them everywhere and smear them and get into them, and this is a lot easier and a lot less of a headache all the way around. A little more time consuming, but that's okay. Part of it is the journey to get there. I mean, I could probably get these done a little bit faster if I wasn't streaming them, and then I could just go and I could probably get them done in maybe like a week straight, but we do other stuff during the week. We do art on the weekend, well, sort of the weekend. We do art on Sunday and Monday, where we're working on our needle felting stuff. Occasionally we'll do a bonus painting stream during the week. Right now I'm working on a side project, a very, very super side project. That's a definitely, as I get time to work on it, situation, where I'm trying to paint all of the Bob Ross tutorials, all of them, with gouache. Trying to get more comfortable with what that can do. I'm using jelly gouache for that. We've only gotten 4 followed so far with that. I just want to say it's very much a side project, but been having some fun with that. So occasionally we'll do a late night bonus stream on that, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday right now we're doing gaming. Thursday we're playing Coral Islands, and Friday and Saturday we're working on Planet Zoo. Friday we're working on a solo zoo map where I spin a wheel that I have set up with different things I could possibly build, and we see what it gives me, and then we work on that until we finish that particular project, and then we'll spin the wheel again. And then Saturday's Planet Zoo is a challenge zoo that the husband and I are facing off in under the same building parameters, same map setup, and trying to see who did it better. Oh, thank you for the follow. I thought I heard the flamingo. But yeah, we've got a whole bunch of needle felting stuff, and in fact on the needle felting, or the Nisey Needle Felts playlist on the YouTube channel, same name as here, NiseyBGN, I have a prep video for how I prep the yarn to get it into this state. Again, you can use Roving, that's fine, but in my area, getting my hands on Roving that was the right colors I needed and the amounts that I needed was going to be extremely expensive for me. And I could buy a huge box of white and dye it, but that's more money because then I have to buy the dye and it's more time, and I'm just like, I'll just get the yarn. I'll just get the yarn. It's already dyed. All I have to do is brush it out. The yarns can be fairly cheap on sale, depending on where I get it from. We'll just go with the yarn. It'll be fine. So I'm always looking for a yarn sale. There's a few new colors of yarn I want to get. Haven't really found the right colors yet. I want to get some like desert colors, like some rusty oranges, burnt reds, that kind of stuff, and like some succulent cactus colors of like the pale greens and stuff. And I'm just, the one company that I kind of like to get, because their pricing isn't too bad. They've been out of some of the more cactus-y colors, is what I like to call them, for a while in the one brand. So I'm either going to have to switch brands to get those colors, or look on a different website. I really liked the shipping from Lovecrafts. Not sponsored whatsoever. But hey, Lovecrafts or Paintbox. I'd be open to talking. I mean, I have almost every color of Paintbox Simply Chunky that they make. Almost. Except for the ones that were sold out when I was purchasing. This particular brown, though, is from Joann's House Label, Big Twist Value. I'm using a small gauge needle. I can't tell you the number on it, because the toolkit that I bought, it just said S on the tube. So I was like, oh, that's helpful. It might have had the actual number on it somewhere in the paperwork, but I don't have the paperwork anymore. But I just bought a needle felting toolkit from Amazon. It came with the finger doodles. Highly recommend them. If you don't have them, get them. I mean, I have poked through these before, but it would have been much, much worse if I hadn't had them on. Usually it's just a glancing blow and the needle slides right off of it. You really don't want these needles in your fingers. They're very sharp, and they've got notches cut into them. They've got little barbs on them to grab the fluff and weave it through whatever you're attaching it to. This is just a standard piece of craft felt. That's all it is that I'm using for this. But yeah, this goes in your hand, you're gonna have a problem. You can't just like pull it through either, because it's long and it has a little L bracket on the bottom of it, or top of it, I guess, however you want to look at it. Fortunately, I've not had to go to the emergency room. They are sharp. I wouldn't recommend them for younger kids. Definitely something that you're gonna have to treat with respect and pay attention with it. No goofing around with it. I have had a couple snap on me on stream. I think I've had 2 snap on me on stream. One went flying like right past my face. Fortunately, I have glasses on, so I was okay there. If you don't wear glasses, maybe get some safety goggles just to be on the safe side. Safety glasses. But that would be like being overly cautious, because they don't normally snap if you're using them properly. The one day one of mine snapped because it got caught in the honeycomb facing of my microphone because I wasn't paying attention to where my hand was in relation to it. The other time I was also doing something stupid. I had it in my hand when I was brushing down the back and it got caught and just snapped. One of them got caught on my fuzzy pajama pants the one day and I didn't even notice. I spent like 20 minutes searching the floor trying to find it, and then I stood up and went to sit back down. I'm like, what was that? Because I felt like the tiniest pinch on my leg, and I looked down. I was like, oh shit. So definitely want to be careful. Try to pay attention. This coming from someone that, you know, can't fully complete a conversation half the time because I get distracted. There's like Union Station in my head and all of the trains are leaving at different times. Mid-conversation, another train leaves the station. It's like, oh wait, come back. You don't have to do this step. It's just something that I do. I mean, there's even a pretty picture on the back, kind of. And you can really do some things with this stuff. You can make them a little bit more 3D if you want to kind of give your fluff the felted treatment before even attaching it. I saw someone doing that on Instagram the other night, actually last night, and I was like, oh my god, that is awesome. I never thought to do that. We've made a few figurines in passing. We've made a few Christmas ornaments. I made the husband a stand-up posable lizard folk D&D character concept that he had come up with. Trying to needle felt a figurine around armature wire is not a fun task, I will tell you. And took me a couple of months to work on him off and on as I had time. And I had some styrofoam to help mold the skull, and I had Roving base on that one. I had like this weird multicolored, like jewel tone. What the hell was that noise? Oh, hold on, you guys. There's a catastrophe. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. Sorry. We had a kitty emergency. I'm back, I promise. I can't handle kitty emergencies though. It's the one thing that makes my stomach roll, so I quick grabbed some paper towels and at least marked where they were, and I let the husband know because he had stepped out of the room. We have an older cat that has some digestive issues. But that kind of looked more like a hairball. It's summer, they're sheddy. I like to call it cleanup aisle 3. Since 1 is associated with, you know, going number 1, and 2 is associated going number 2. Tend to refer to it as cleanup aisle 3. But I didn't know where she was. I could only hear it, and I'm like, oh no, where is she? Because she's been hanging out on his desk, and I'm like, don't tell me. Fortunately, the floors in this room are cleanup friendly, for the most part. I mean, we've got a couple of area rugs down so Momo doesn't slip and hurt himself more than he already is. But we have a couple of cats that won't just, you know, do it and be done with it in one spot. They'd like to spread it around. I'm like, stop it! Why are you moving? The one will literally start in one room and then 2 rooms over, you're still finding it. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? But it's hairball season. Alright, we're actually not doing too bad here. We might get this done today, or close to. Like, not completely done, but getting this color put in done. Maybe. Depends. We've got about an hour left to work today. And then I think I might have to... Man, traffic's loud today. And then I might have to go do dishes. Depends on how the husband's feeling. He's been doing them lately, so it's freed up a little bit of my time. But he's not feeling well today. He hasn't really slept. He has his own host of problems. Like anxiety and depression and all that, so... Some days are easier than others, that's for sure. And it's been a rough couple of weeks for us, stress-wise. Unexpectedly having to replace his phone was bad enough, because the screen gave up the ghost. But then we had to replace our freezer because the inside of the lid fell apart. It wasn't closing properly. Like, we have a separate freezer that's like waist high because the fridge freezer wasn't enough space. It actually stretches our budget having that other freezer, because then we can buy stuff in bulk and tuck it away. and get a little bit further mileage out of it. So that was kind of a necessary thing. The other one was pretty old though. Russell thinks it was 20 to 30 years old. So at least it was still semi staying, well, I mean, it was still staying cold. It's not like it stopped running. Just the blade on the inside had gotten a crack on it, and so we didn't lose any food, so that's good. Alright. So we don't have too much more of this color to fill in. I mean, it's going to take a hot minute to fill it in though. And I know that the large color swath sections can be kind of boring. I get that. It's partially why I take the finished the live streams from the finished product, like once we get done, and then turn them into like a speed felt video. They're a bitch to edit though. I will say they are a bitch. So that last project that we did, episode, what is this, 7? The one from episode 6, those live streams. I'm only on the 6th live stream. My focus has not, or attention span, I guess, has just not been cooperating, trying to get that done. Plus the husband and I have been playing Diablo, so that's been taking some editing time away. Because it's like the only game that we both play that we can play together right now. So whenever he's been wanting to play or willing to play, I've been taking it. I could play it on my own, but it's better when we can do it together. Alright. This is technically it's called chocolate brown. We're using it as a Van Dyke brown substitute. It looks very black on the screen at the moment though, which is kind of surprising. It's the same color as this back here. I promise, they are the same colors. We might just have enough fluff here. We might just. We will see. I might be getting ahead of myself. Entirely possible. Sorry. Part of him's gonna get shoved up there because I'm like working on a bowed edge of the mat here, and that's no fun. So we're just gonna move him a little bit more center to the mat. Cannot wait to order this mat tonight. So that's what, like the money from Twitch that the channel has made through subscriptions or donations or bits and stuff. That's what's buying our new mat. So any money that is made through those means that the channel has made is going back into getting more supplies to keep things going. Helps immensely. I mean, even $20 to replace this mat is a lot for us to spend out of pocket at the moment, especially having to replace the husband's phone and the freezer pretty much within a week of each other. We were talking about replacing that freezer sooner, well, earlier in the year, but we didn't end up doing so. And now it seems that decision to not do so has come back to bite us in the ass. Of course. As all things do. Right? Can't win. Can't win. But yeah, I don't think we'll be trying to sell just the needle felting stuff at the farmer's market, because it takes me quite a while to get the stuff done. Which is why we're going to do painting. So I was trying to find some reference photos, and the husband's like, you're just going to have to make your own stuff up after a while. I was like, yeah, I know, but the reference photos help me with the color visualization a little bit better. Like, I don't have the money for fancy packaging and stuff, so I mean, we could try to do the gouache paintings, but I can't really seal them, so I'd probably have to sell them framed. And sometimes the frames from Dollar Tree just look icky. Some are not bad. I mean, they had some float frames for a while. Those are nice. I did like those. Alright, so I'm not gonna fret too much if our bottom edge isn't 100% straight, because we're gonna have those dowel rods come in, right? So, and they're gonna help us clean up our bottom edges. But it's the sides that I'm really the most concerned about. We're gonna trim this excess fuzz off of here, felt. So it doesn't have to be completely straight, but we're gonna try to keep it as straight as we can. Right, so I think the only thing that's showing this purple, this is the color purple it actually is, might be that. It seems like whenever I put my arm in, Yeah, when I put my arm in, the color changes to what it actually is. That is fucking wild. Okay, camera. If you say so. So I know to be aware that that's going to be a thing when I go to edit these live streams together. In hindsight, I should have probably been editing the live streams together as I was finishing them. That probably would have been the smarter thing to do, instead of trying to do them all at the end of the project. Probably would have been the more wise thing to do. Oof. So when I last checked on the husband, he was in the shower, and that was a little bit ago. I might have to check on him again. Because I feel like he's been gone for quite some time. Okay, let me just... Can't type in these stupid finger thingies. Okay. Like whenever I have these on, I can't feel the keys, so like it's like those fingers are dead to me, so trying to find the letters that I need without seeing my keyboard was a bit of a challenge. Now I have to figure out what color we're gonna do the dowel rods for this. We could go with a brown. We could go with an aqua turquoise color. That is possible. We could go white, but I think white might be a bit much. Sorry, I was changing the song that I was listening to. You guys can't hear it. At least you shouldn't be able to hear it, or else the stream will get muted. And I'll be hit with all kinds of problems. This guy laid into here, and I also overlap a bit. I put paper towels over it, but I couldn't handle picking it up. I'm sorry. It looked like a hairball. Alright, so we get this stuff. Or this bit of fluff worked into here. I kind of overlap them also a little bit, just to prevent any thin spots, or to prevent too many thin spots, because you know, as you go and you're pulling the fibers this way and that, when you move on to another section, you might pull the fibers in a different direction, and it is possible to have some of your undercolor felt poke through. Or at least I have that happen. It's probably because I'm using the yarn in the way I'm putting it down. entirely possible. But that's how I try to combat that. If we were using Roving and it was a little bit thicker, it probably wouldn't be an issue. So this one's still a little crimpy from the twisting of the yarn. Not all the pieces keep that. It's just how that particular piece brushed out. Alright, we're getting there. You okay? I forgot I had left that light on. Alright, aisle 3 has been cleaned up. Slowly melting away, vanishing away. I'm surprised we actually got started on time today because I forgot to set my alarm last night, or this morning. It was still last night to me because I hadn't gone to sleep yet, but it was really, I had the thought around like 4 a.m. I was like, it takes me forever to fall asleep. I was like, I need to set my alarm. And then I got distracted. And then I kind of jolted awake from a dream. And then I was laying there trying to reorient myself. And I'm like, it's kind of dark in here. And the husband wasn't at his computer. But the light on the crab tank was off, so I'm like, where the hell is he? And then I could hear him doing something in the kitchen, or somebody doing something in the kitchen, and I was like, what time is it? And then I was like, oh fuck, I was supposed to put the dry dishes away last night before I went to sleep. I was like, shit, I forgot to do that too. I was like, what the hell, brain? I was like, what time is it? It was like 12:42. I was like, oh shit. So like I quick jumped up, tried to get myself somewhat awake and together, and just I was like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I forgot to put the dishes away. He's like, no, it's no big deal, because he's like, I wasn't ready to work on them yet anyhow. I'm like, and then I forgot to set my alarm. He goes, you know, I was wondering about that. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to wake you up or not. I was like, no, I completely forgot. 100%. Had the thought, and then the thought vanished on me before I clicked the app on my Kindle. I had this one actual alarm clock that if I hit the snooze button in a certain spot, it turned it off. I cannot tell you how many times I overslept and was almost late and almost missed a bus. Thankfully, I set my alarm extra early because I know I have trouble waking up. But holy shit. Like, I've had my mom wake me up a couple times, like, aren't you going to work tonight? And I'm like, fuck. My alarm turned off. I was like, why, alarm? Why would you do that? I mean, my own fault for not dragging my ass out of bed the first time the alarm went off, but oh, that piece was trying to hitch a ride on my shirt. Right, this corner, oh, what the heck happened there? That corner got a little unruly there. Like I said, I don't have to stress too much over this bottom edge because we can always lose a little bit of the brown on the bottom here by where we position the dowel rod. As long as I can try to keep this clean, or as clean as I can, we'll be good. Sometimes they get really wonky. It's gotten a little better since I switched to the larger pieces of felt. So this is a 9x12 piece of felt. When we first started doing this, we had ordered felt that said it was 8x10. It lied. It might have been 8x10 before the felting process started. Those sheets were not 8x10. They were like 7x9.5 or something. It was wild. So those I was like doing right up to the edge. And then we switched to this. Like I said earlier, this is just a felt square from Joann's. Nothing fancy. Just like your 25-cent crop felt. Stop. Oh, it didn't stop. It's just a quiet. All right. So we'll get this all worked into here. Oh, you know what it is? This section of my mat got a little extra crunchy because we spilled some of our wax melt on there. That's not what made it dome. It started doming up a bit because I wasn't releasing from the mat very often, and I forgot or didn't realize I should do that, and I had a couple small pieces like attach themselves to the thing, and they wouldn't let go without a fight, so that kind of distorted the mat a little bit too. Don't know if that's so much of an issue with foam, but with this mat I've found that it works better if I pull it up off the mat when I get done attaching a bit of fluff. Alright, husband picked me up a new brush container from the Dollar Tree because the other container just wasn't cutting it. Like, the other container was fine. We were reusing an old pickle container. I mean, it was fine, but the top like came in, so there was this like lip forming in the container where my shorter brushes I couldn't grab when I needed them. So we've got a smaller container now. Well, smaller in diameter, I think, and storage capacity, that's fine. I'm just gonna put the brushes that we use the most in this new one and leave that more accessible, and then the other brushes that we don't use that often I will leave in my other brush box in my storage, my semi-storage. I had a piece of cat hair in there. Well, if I did, it's part of it now. Alright, it's usually the cat hair that goes everywhere. I mean, the dogs shed a little bit, but not like the cats do. The cat's fur clings to my clothes. Alrighty. This is definitely coming together. This looks so dark. The dirt color here, or brown color. I promise it is brown. It might be my monitor too. No, it looks pretty dark on the husband's monitor too. I have a flower arrangement I have to make for October. Got those flowers put away. I might need to go to Dollar Tree again. and see about grabbing a pumpkin or something that can go outside. For that flower arrangement, I don't know. I have to do a grave blanket for Christmas. I'm trying to keep an eye on when the Christmas shit starts coming out at the one store. Probably next month, because the craft stores try to put the stuff out a little bit ahead of the season that it's for, to give the craft show people a chance to make the things. Okay. So I know sometimes I will distort the edge a little bit from grabbing this section and pulling it up, so I try to pull from different sides. I try not to pull from the same side. I mean, this section that we're going to cut off is not a big deal if that gets a little misshapen, but sometimes it can make our list here full on, or our side here full on oddly shaped. Alright, yeah, we will get this section fully filled in here. Not bad for time. All things considered. Am I even listening to? Alright. So. Getting this put into here. Just want to make sure that we are fully attached in this spot. Okay, now let's grab a bit more. This looks like we will have enough brown to get through this project. That is excellent. I really didn't want to waste time on stream fluffing if we didn't have to. Alright. So we're not doing too bad here. This is starting to really take on some life of its own. Okay. Alright, that looks pretty good in there. So we just have this little bit of a finger here to finish adding our fluff to. Work on that. And then we'll see what Bob wants us to do after that. I don't know if he's gonna... I don't remember if he starts to add shrubs in and then highlights it, or if he highlights it and then puts the shrubs in. I can't remember. He's been doing this one a little bit willy-nilly. Like, he put the base shapes of our shrub line and tree line in and then didn't highlight it for a while. He actually highlighted all of this and then went back. It surprised me. Just seemed to be a little bit more backwards. Than I am used to. We are joining our front landmass here with what we've got going on in the back there. Definitely still have a bit in this section. I'm trying to keep my fingers curled under so I don't accidentally stab them. Trying to keep them out of the way. And just keep those that are protected anywhere near to being in the way, in the line of fire. Okay, so if you're not sure if you've gotten all of your fluff attached, you can come back and run a finger over it, and if it looks like it's moving or you can feel it moving around, just go ahead and go back at it with your needle. Alright. Just this little bit of a section left to go. Don't know if we're gonna need all of this. We might. Don't know for certain yet. Almost there. Just have this bit of a loose section left to tap into place. Okay, so let me tuck that little bit back in our Ziploc here. Alright, so let's give this a good smooth down back here. Some fuzzies. Okay, so we got that into place. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we still have a little bit of time. Let's see what's next. Okay, so he's gonna come back in with the shrubbery. We're gonna put some dark shrubbery in along this dirt. Oh, it's mixing with the brown there. Okay, so it's gonna be like shrubbery like from here, and then just kind of following our top line here a little bit. So he's just kind of touching up that a little bit. Okay, so then he's gonna start to highlight some of those shrubbery guys that he put in. Okay, I'm just kind of trying to see where he takes it, because he did that smoothing out bit and I couldn't remember how far down it came. Are we coming all the way down to the edge? Pretty much. for the most part. Okay, so we kind of left a bit of a dirt section. Kind of. Vaguely. Like in through here. He kind of stayed on this side. It looks deliberate. Well, maybe not. Okay, no. Well, I mean, it could be like a worn-in pathway. Does he not put a pathway in? I don't know if we're gonna do all those little sticks and stuff in, because he can scrape them in. Like, lickety-split. It's a little bit more difficult for us. Okay, so he's still kind of fussing. Okay, so he didn't put a path in. He didn't even highlight that section, not really. I mean, well, there might be a slight highlight to it. Alright, so he's gonna sign. So let's come back to here. So he put that in. Okay, and then he had that. Alright, but where did he pick up the knife? Oh, wait. I missed it. He does highlight it. Not much, though. He says brown and white. Burnt umber. I was gonna say, that doesn't look like Van Dyke brown and white, because Van Dyke brown and white looks grayish. Okay. Where were we? Okay, we just did that. Okay. So we're on him. You know, we could really just, at that point, we can just use that as our visual at this point. So let me take a quick look at my browns, real super quick. Let me see what we got here. I don't really... So I don't really have this color that he's made. No. So we're gonna have to go a little bit lighter than I would really like to, which is gonna be with camel. Yeah. I mean, I have soft fudge. Oh, that just doesn't... I don't know about this. I mean, it's still darker than... That was... What was this? Light caramel. So it's still darker than that. It's not really like this lighter, like teddy bear brown, though. But he kind of slams in here. So we're gonna kind of like stretch it out a little bit. Since it's so thin, when you go to put this stuff in, can't even hardly see where it is on here. It's gonna kind of melt into the piece of it, or it should. At least in some places. As we're going a bit crooked here. As we tap this in, because we stretched it out, I kind of pulled the fibers out a bit. It's going to look a little bit more kind of spider webby. Kind of like that fake spider web shit from Halloween. Think that. Not as stretchy, but we're kind of going for that, like, pulled apart a bit with the fibers. You can kind of see it laying in there. So it might help to stretch it out a little bit before you start placing it, and then when you've got it just kind of sitting on top there, you can kind of use your fingernail, or you can take the tip of your needle, and if you want to drag it sideways to make sure you don't accidentally poke through and snap the needle. If you go in and pull, you're definitely going to snap it. Now, because these hairs are so... bits of fiber, are so stretched out and thin, you might have to take a few extra minutes to poke them, to stab them, to get them attached. Yeah, I definitely need to up my brown and like rusty colors, because I just don't have that many. They can be kind of tough colors to find in yarn, because a lot of companies like to do the pastellies. Kind of hard to get the, or at least for me, I haven't really found a good source of earthy tones. I mean, dark brown you can usually get, but it's like the siennas. That was a very loud car. The sienna tones and stuff are a little bit tougher for me to find, at least. I'll probably have to branch out to a different brand. So if in doing this and you find that, well, I wanted that to be more highlighted in that section, just grab another bit of fluff and do your seam spider webby treatment to it. And then, you know, go back at it. There's a lot more of it coming through the back side than we have on this side. I'm not surprised because we are kind of just melting it in there. I've got fluff sticking to my face. But the way Bob's got it in there, it's not like super in your face. So I'm okay with it being a little bit thinner in here. That's fine. My piece keeps trying to rotate with the force of me stabbing it through. It keeps trying to move all around here, so I'm just going to try to hold that corner. I usually have my fingers with a gentle, like just hand lead pressure. Not like pushing down on the fluff, but I just have my hand resting. Just to try to keep the needle from grabbing all of it at once and pulling it into one spot. Kind of helps spread out our fluff a bit. Gotta figure out what Christmas presents are gonna be, because I'm at a real loss there. And it's especially difficult because I don't even know if the mother-in-law and her one sister are gonna be here. We never know if they're actually gonna be here for Christmas until like the last fucking minute. Which super stressed me out last Christmas. Last Christmas there was a whole bunch of bullshit going on. They were here, but they weren't gonna be here. And no, we're gonna stay up here. And then she came back kind of, but not really, and then went to her other sisters. And I'm like, I need to know if I have to cook for another person. I need to know if you're gonna be here to even get a gift. I need to know these things, because if you're not gonna be here, I'm not gonna stress my budget. Kind of situation, because it was just going to be a handmade gift, but handmade gifts take time, and if you're not going to be here within like a month of Christmas, then there's kind of no point. They did end up stopping by briefly. And I do mean like 10 minutes outside briefly. Alright. So ours is definitely looking a little different than Bob's, but you know, it's the same general idea. It's not going to be a dead ringer, considering we're using a completely different medium. That's just kind of the way things go. But it's not too shabby. Like, I don't want these highlights to be real super in your face here either. Because they're not really blatantly obvious. Alright. Because, like, you could hardly see they were there. He usually goes with, like, the Van Dyke brown and white. I was kind of expecting him to do that. Instead, he pulls out this weird burnt umber, which I think is actually sienna now in his paint that's available. I don't believe an umber's in his color set now. Which also makes it a little difficult if you're following with paint and trying to do his stuff and you like bought the kits from his site and things. Because they changed some of the colors. So I was trying to follow one of the tutorials one time after I got his branded paint and stuff. And he's talking about using this one color. I'm like, that color wasn't even on your website. What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, Bob, what are you talking about? I still have a bunch of his paint and I don't know what to do with it. I still have a bucket of like paint thinner at my feet. I don't know how I'm supposed to dispose of that. Because you can't, like, dump it down the drain. So, I'm like, what do I do with this? don't have any extra thinner, so what I have is what I have in my bucket. And it would be discolored, but it's still usable. But I could probably skiv the good stuff out of it. Like most of the sediment should be in the bottom of the bucket. Oh, maybe I can donate it somewhere. We are gonna have our shrubbery kind of sitting in around this section. So that's why I'm not too worried about precision. That's why I wanted to get this in before we started doing the shrubbery. So I'm jumping around just a little bit. And that's fine. Now we won't be, well, I don't think we'll be done tomorrow. No, we shouldn't be done tomorrow. Because we still have to put in all the shrubs and then highlight them. And then I want to do a session where we're working on the dowel rods and stuff together. And putting everything together and putting a nice neat bow on all of it, start to finish. So probably next Sunday. And then when we get this one done, we'll have another planning session for the next couple. So we've got one coming up that's going to be kind of fun, I think. I say that now and I'll probably regret saying, oh yeah, this looked like so much fun. So we've got a lighthouse one coming up, which is the one directly after this, episode 8. What was episode 8 called anyway? So episode 8 is Nightlight. That's going to be a lighthousey thing where there's going to be kind of like a glow behind it. I think that one might be a black canvas, but I'm not 100% sure. And then episode 9 is the Old Mill. 10, I'm still undecided if we're going to do 10. 10 is the infamous cowboy one. I don't know. 10's giving me all kinds of anxiety. I'm not sure if we're actually going to do 10. I gotta think about it. We might try to do a planning session for 10. My colors are gonna be way different than his. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it off. I might have to bring the roving in for 10. If it looks like I've got enough of that shade of Roving. But we'll see what happens when we get there. Now, we did take a break from working on the Bob Ross stuff last holiday season because we were working on our gingerbread house and stuff. I don't know what we're doing for this season. I don't know if we're going to do anything special for this holiday season. I don't think I really have the time this year. Have to see. Alright, I'm just trying to make sure that we've got everybody really good and attached in here, because it still kind of seems like we have a few thin bits that are just kind of sitting on the surface. And yeah, when we go to put the shrubbery in through here, that would probably take care of that, but I'd rather make sure that we're looking pretty good before we get there. Get that brushed down, smoothed it down. Alright. Yeah, see, I just ran my finger over. Now, you can trim if you're having trouble getting all of it attached. You've got a couple of stubborn bits. That is a possibility. Or if you want, if you have a multi-needle handle, you could hit that up with the multi-needle. I do have a multi-needle handle, but it's got like 8 needles in it. And I don't like using it because it's so heavy. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be heavy, right? Because the single one weighs like next to nothing, but when you get 8 of them in that handle, they feel heavy. Unless it's just my weak ass hypersensitive self. But there's definitely a weight difference, and I don't think it's all in the handle. And then you've got the resistance of 8 needles going in instead of 1. Like, my arm gets real tired real fast with that. That gets to be a super huge workout. So again, I'm just trying to do another final pass in through here, make sure we've got all of our loose guys here. We've got some stubborn stragglers. We're getting there though. If the stragglers aren't going to bother you, then whatever. I think that's about as good as that's going to get, though, for now. Because, I mean, we do have our shrubbery coming in, so that'll help sit everything down in there a little bit more. So that is where we are at currently. So we're not doing half bad there. So tomorrow, we'll pick this back up. And we'll work on getting our shrubs in. And I don't know if we'll be highlighting them tomorrow. I hope we will. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I hope you guys have a good, easy start to your Monday, to your work week. Hope that goes well. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow where we pick back up adding in our bit of shrubs. So until next time we are together, have a good one.